Hello, folks, and welcome. This is the last hurrah here at Dime a Dozen. We are on the draw, so let's go ahead and keep this hand. Our opponent has mulliganed to 6. This hand doesn't immediately do anything except remove a guy and maybe see some extra cards via divination, but hopefully, depending on what we draw and what the opponent is doing, we'll be able to... Wow, opponent doesn't even have a land, so... Maybe they kept the hand by mistake, or they used the F key incorrectly. I'm not sure. They did put a card on top, so I think they probably just mistakenly skipped past their turn. So we do see a plains, and hopefully it's a creature deck with not a lot of... Oh, it is a creature deck with not a lot of interaction. So I think here I'll probably use this Tragic Slip and establish my mana a little more. Yeah, because if we use the Edict and don't find another removal spell, the Tragic Slip will be pretty ineffective. So this is something known as lineup theory that Reed Duke wrote about and a few other people have talked about, which is trying to line up the absolute best tool, the most appropriate tool for whatever job you have to carry out. So for the sake of mana efficiency also, we may just Edict this guy here. We have so many tapped lands coming down. I think it's actually okay to use the Chainer's Edict and hope that we're going to find some more removal along the way. This is also going to slow him down from being able to just explode with a board presence. We would otherwise only be casting Divination or Longbow. So our comparative play to what the opponent could do with accelerating an additional mana is a little frightful. Keep in mind this game could be going a lot differently had our opponent actually made a land drop on turn 1. So that's something to think of as well. An interesting play we can make here is to Divination and then Mortuary Mire our Mulldrifter to replay it. I actually kind of like that option. And we have a first significant threat hitting the table. Since we have Swamp and Island... Ooh, and there's a Trinket Mage too. So I could just Trinket Mage for an Executioner's Capsule. I think that's actually good. I think that's probably what we want to do. And play the Executioner's Capsule. Then if I want, I can decide to block and then use Mortuary Mire at some point to get the Trinket Mage back. But I think I'm going to hold on to that for a second. Whoa. Things are getting weird there a little bit. Okay, so we're going to play the capsule. So we have that on tap. This guy's probably going to get through for a 3 because he does have first strike and he gives everybody else first strike. Another thing we can pop out with next turn if he does not play a Lord is to equip the longbow and start pinging people. And it really depends. We may want to play around Vines of Vastwood. Okay, so he actually did play a Lord. So I think we'll probably want to take the damage first and foremost and prepare ourselves to remove that Lord. He appears to be leaving up Vines of Vastwood, though. That's the only real issue. I could play Mulldrifter and set up a double block here. If he plays another Lord, that's not going to really work. I think we have this one turn worth of time to go ahead and just resolve the Mulldrifter and then give ourselves a few more options and a little bit more information here. Expand our resources a bit. We can chump the Sinew Sliver, if anything. We played our land. So again, imagine how far behind we would be had he made that land drop on turn 1. Our situation would be even worse. So I'm definitely not attacking into the first striker. Opponent's got 3 cards. I've noticed so far with this list that there is that tendency to flood out a little bit more than usual. Okay. So now the play's even less likely to work. So I guess we're just going to chump block the Sinew Sliver here. And he's leaving up Vines of Vastwood once again. The longbow is also not very useful for us either. Because he now has a plated sliver too. So double blocking here does nothing. Jumping here, it's about the same difference. Yeah, I'll put the Muldrifter in front because he's the one I'm most likely going to want to hit with Mire because I do have Longbow already. I mean, it's highly likely that it's going to be Vines. I think I want him to cast the Vines first, though. The only question is, do I want to get the Muldrifter back with Mire? I don't think so, because I think I want to equip the Longbow, which also is not really going to do all that much. Okay, let's see what we can do here. This is not likely to work. Oh, it worked. Well, that's kind of a shock, actually. So now I will equip this. And depending what he plays, we may be able to just block the plated sliver. So his last card is what? Does he have a third color? And that's why he's playing the Gemhide sliver? I have no idea what his last card is. It's a bit of a mystery because it's not a 2-drop. It doesn't seem to be a removal spell. Also doesn't seem to be Vines of Vastwood unless he's trying to force through damage, which he might be trying to do. And the worst draw against us right now would be Hive Stirrings. This is also pretty bad, however, yeah, this is bad because the first strike and the flanking is gonna be really unfortunate for us. Okay, it was a journey to nowhere. So, just have to ping my opponent, and we're taking 4 down to 10. I Chainer's Edict him, presumably. Then we're going down to 6 at the least. Let's see what we draw. Okay, so I'm pinging my opponent because I can't remove any of his guys here. This is going to be a close one, guys. Pardon me while I sip some water here. Okay, we're in for a beating. Just don't give me land. Come on, guys. Well, it's a counter spell. I guess it's almost worth something. Okay, we're just going to Edict him. We don't really have a better play. We're going to go to 6 at the highest. Maybe he can flood a little bit. A decent draw would be Silkbind Fairy, because it's big enough to survive the first strike and flank. Oh, he took away the flanking. Well, yeah, he had to take away one of the 3 things, which is either the boost, the flanking, or the first strike. He opted for the flanking, and now, right on cue. Okay, so we're now going to 4, and we don't have many outs from here. So, we're probably going to game 2. And this is not looking all that great in general. So, Radiant Fountain boosts us up to 6. That's not good enough. So, that looks like that's it. I'm just going to concede. And, we drew a few too many lands here, but, I I mean, the opponent beat us while missing their first turn, so that's a pretty bad sign for us. I don't think we want Dispel or Counterspell. These are cards that cause us to sit back on open mana and try and play this silly guessing game with the opponent about what they're trying to bait out. We're more interested in playing things that are just going to impact the board immediately. We want to maximize our mana efficiency, particularly in the early turns. So that's going to involve playing a bunch of removal spells. I don't think Spellbomb's that good either, so we have these guys. And then we could try Spreading Seas. Again, I think it might even be slightly better. He does have Rancor, so playing Nihil Spellbomb's not out of the question. And sometimes they do board into Young Wolf. Spreading Seas might actually cut him off of white or green. Don't know that we want Reaping the Graves again. That's a late game sort of thing that isn't entirely necessary here. I feel like if we can extend the game long enough and keep the board clear, we'll win with or without a Reaping the Graves. Flicker I'll keep around because we do have so many great targets for it. We have the Fountain, the Mire, the Arrows, the Prowlers. So let's try this. I think his guys might be a little too big for our particular configuration of removal, but we'll give it a whirl. I mean, we do have Evankar's Justice and stuff. We definitely want to play first. Again, we need that mana efficiency. And we are going to keep this hand, namely because of the Preordained, but we have a lot of removal also to help us out. And I need to hit F6 because otherwise it's a tell that Evankar's Justice is in our hand, so get ready for that. Opponent again mulligans to 6, now mulligans to 5. This is one thing about slivers, is that the mana is so evenly distributed between white and green most of the time that it's it can make mulligans pretty rough because you can have spells of one color and lands of another and what have you. So okay, and virulent sliver often makes things difficult. We find our land right off the bat, so I'm going to go ahead and just remove his guy and kind of keep up with his tempo here for as long as I can. And then Chainer's Edict is typically the right removal spell to line up early, because if he plays something like Hive Stirrings or Young Wolf, the Chainer's Edict becomes incredibly ineffective. So another thing that's kind of good, we'll see here, is that they can sometimes be in a situation where they only play one guy every turn. So we could play Trinket Mage, but I think I'm going to double up this time, set up my next few plays, and try and get another black source. Spreading Seas is probably keepable. I guess the land is also. It's not a black source, which might be a problem, but we can get a black source with Trinket Mage next turn if we need to. But I'm going to continue to remove guys. We may even be able to slow him down with Spreading Seas, though I think Trinket Mage will be a little better. Killing the Plated Sliver also is going to make our Evankar's Justice eventually a decent option. So here, as we can see, he's kind of divvying up between the two. I think I'm going to take this opportunity to cut him off of... No, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and just set up the Trinket Mage here. And I will get a Vault of Whispers because I really want the Evankar's Justice to factor in. He's down to 3 cards, so let's see what we can make happen. Oh, we're looking actually good. We don't need to play the Evankar's Justice yet. Because he's trying to find a Lord. He can't really attack me unless he has a pump spell. Okay, and the Spreading Sea is not really doing anything. So I think I'm actually just going to play Muldrifter here and sit back. We can't really block the Sliver unless we want to try and double block, which maybe I will. I'm planning to sweep anyway, so. And we're seeing a lot of good stuff here. We really don't need to use Evankar's Justice yet. We can kind of coast until we get to buyback mana, it's looking like. Pardon me. He's got a flanking guy now, so that's going to make things a little difficult. I still would have been able to double block the Talon Sliver, but not anymore. So I'm going to equip the longbow and leave up Disfigure. I think that's the best use of our mana. And then, depending on how he attacks next turn, because I don't think I'm going to do this now. I think I'm going to wait. You know, actually I will do this now. It does give me another blocker, but it's very poor against Vines of Vassalwood on his turn, which allows him to punch through for a bunch of damage. So I still have the Disfigure. I'm pretty comfortable. There's no reason to give my opponent that much value out of a Vines of Vassalwood, so I'm deciding not to go that route. This is peculiar. This is very peculiar. So I'm going to see if I can... You know what? I'm just going to take the damage. I'm kind of going to leverage my options here. If he does just pass, I'll use the mana and go ahead and get the... Because we're about to get up to 7 mana, which means... Ooh, okay. I'm just going to try and ping again. First and foremost. I don't think the Spreading Seas does a ton, so I'll start with Think Twice. I'm trying to hit a land drop here. Okay. Actually, let's draw once more. So I will use the Spreading Seas now. Though it's not going to do a bunch for us. Okay, didn't hit that land drop, so I'll just go for the old Executioner's Capsule. Not really expecting him to have any haste, and the game is very comfortable. It's been comfortable for past probably a couple turns. Once we hit that patch of Disfigure and Longbow, I mean, he's got like Righteous Blow or something. No, he doesn't. Just tapping white. Maybe Celestial Flare, but... Cool, so that was pretty academic. He mulliganed to 5. Didn't hit enough lands, kind of what you would normally expect. Now we're going to be on the draw, which is a little dicey, but just hope for the best here. We do have the sweepers and stuff. So this is a really difficult decision we have to make, because we do have 4th Bridge Prowler, which should take out a guy. We're missing our blue, and we need to find a blue source specifically. We have 18 blue sources in the deck, so we have about a 36% chance. Actually, I guess we have 3 draw steps. No, we have 2. This hand is quite good if we find a blue source. I think it's a little too risky, though. I'm going to mulligan. And this hand is better in a sense. 3rd land. Okay. Yeah, let's see how this goes. Hopefully the opponent's hand is a little slow. They start with like a Guild Gate or something. Or they just pass their first turn like they did in game 1. That could be good too. Let me just check my connection here. Yeah, we're still good to go. Okay. So we're going to go turn 1 Backwater. we're probably going to go turn 2 Capsule Guildgate. Oh, he did it again. I don't know why he does that. It's a little unfortunate, but it's good for us. I mean, I'll take what I can get personally. I don't know about you guys, but we're pretty well set up here. I mean, especially now that he doesn't have an opening play, apparently. Okay. Yeah, so this is going to really hurt him because we're off to the races, and he's not been able to make use of his critical first 2 turns, and for a deck like his, those turns are going to be very important. I think I'll probably just get another land with the Trinket Mage. Well, yeah, I think that's what I'll do. We do have the Capsule, so we also have Diabolic Edict. I think this fills out our mana a little bit, so we can use Capsule and Edict next turn, which is probably just the best use of our mana we can hope for. Then, depending if we draw a land or not, we can either Archaeomancer for the Edict again, or we can, if we do draw a 5th land, we can play Mulldrifter. So let's see if he's got a white source. I think this was the first time he kept. Yeah, so he's got another Lord. He's got Hive Stirrings. Or, yeah, not Hive Stirrings, but might as well have Hive Stirrings. I'll take the 3 damage, and then I'll cast Diabolic Edict before he attacks next turn. Wow, didn't attack me either. So this guy's just a little unfamiliar with the client, and that has been a big boost for us. So I'm going to take the Muscle Sliver out first. The reason I'm going to go for these Lords is actually because the flanking guy will get small enough that we can either 4th Bridge Prowler it, or we can Viridian Longbow it. So he actually has another Lord. I'm going to Edict him though here, or maybe he does. It's a little unclear at the moment. But I'm using the open mana to kind of make him reconsider his options. Yeah, we're in a bit of trouble, depending on what he's doing at the. Okay, so I'm going to Edict him now. Which just saves me a little bit of damage, and he probably loses the flanking sliver, though I don't know. Yeah, he probably loses the flanking sliver. The Sliver's deck's ability to win is usually directly proportional to how many Lords they can resolve, so he's resolved 3, which is pretty good for him right now. He tapped 3 mana, didn't use the 3rd, and now still not attacking me. I'm very confused about all of this. We have an Evankar's Justice that won't currently work. We could also roll the dice and try and find a land, but I'm going to instead just get back my Edict and try and shrink his board so that the Justice will work for me. I have no idea why he's not attacking. Pardon me. He would be in fairly decent shape if he was, making these attacks. So I think he's probably just distracted or a little new to MTGO. It's the only reason we're being so successful here in our defense. So now any block we make will purely be a chump block. Since I am planning to Evankar's Justice, I'm not sure if I should block or not. The other thing that could happen is I could draw an untapped land for Mulldrifter, which means I have a 1/1, a 1/1, and an 0/1 blocking because of the flanking. So, yeah, we don't really have a combo block coming, and we also have Evankar's Justice that we want to eventually get around to. So I'll just cut his damage in half and give up my Archaeomancer. Okay, so the question now becomes, is it better to Diabolic Edict or Silkbind Fairy? Having the blocker around doesn't really help, so I think we want to have the edict. And probably just give up the Trigger Mage as a blocker. However, he's probably just giving up the Sidewinder Sliver at the moment. Yeah, this is going to be a little tough. I mean, we can throw blockers in his way for a little while, but hope he puts it on the Sidewinder Sliver. This Rancor is very... Okay, it's not a Rancor. Jeez. Yeah, I don't know if we can win. He's just hit too many Lords, and the fact that he didn't do anything for the first 2 turns is pretty bad for us. So he's got a bunch of 4/4s. I'm not exactly sure how we beat that with this deck. We're not playing a lot of Doomblades or anything. And we're very far away from Evankar's Justice. He's got even more guys, pardon me. So I think I'm just going to chump block as much as possible. And yeah, we have a lot of cards that don't do anything now. Just give another guy up. Though I could have set up for a double block next turn. Maybe that was a better option. I'm not really sure how we get out of this. So had I taken 8, and I couldn't have even been able to double block then. He probably has to miss an attack step for us to not lose. So in that case, our best bet is maybe going Talisman Fairy. Then we can start tapping guys, but we really can't tap that many. Verdian Longbow is not gonna... We have 6 mana, so we can start tapping 3 guys at a time. But if he just attacks with everybody, we have to block with the Fairy, so that doesn't do anything. I think the only way we can possibly win is if he skips his attack step. Because if I Mole Drifter, block the 5/5, I'm at 2. I don't know what the Mole Drifter can find me. Can find me a Radiant Fountain and basically nothing. A Chainer's Edict. We would need a Chainer's Edict, a Tragic Slip, and an Evankar's Justice, I think. And we don't have enough mana for that unless we also hit a land with the Mole Drifter. So I guess we'll try that. I mean, so we have the Justice in hand, so our next 3 draws need to exactly be land, Chainer's Edict, Tragic Slip. And he has to, when we edict him, he also has to sack a Lord instead of sacking the Sentinel Sliver. Okay, we found the land, but I don't think we found the right sequence for the rest of it. So this is 17 damage, so he could also just have a removal spell and we'd lose. So this didn't really go too hot. Looks like our Slivers matchup is not great. He did end up drawing 5 Lords, which is quite a hefty amount, but yeah, GG's. But he also, the 2 games he beat us, he blatantly skipped his first turn. I don't know if he did it on purpose or what, but he didn't need a turn 1, which is pretty telling. I think that says that our matchup here is probably not fantastic overall. Ways to improve it. I mean, we would need more spot removal directed at the Lords, and we would need more sort of draw 2s to kind of recoup for all that spot removal. So we'd need more Doomblade and Agony Warp type effects, I think. But I think I already said GG's. Alright, that's going to be it for this round. Let's hopefully not get, completely steamrolled on our last outing. But this is a huge amount of damage. 21. That was the only attack he needed to make all game. Alright guys, we will be back. Hopefully adding to this play point number in slightly higher increments, let's say. Thank you for watching.